آله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, as usual, we'll have the Hadeeth dialogue, and the goal is to have it more as a dialogue. So I will share the Hadeeth, and I would like to hear your perspective, or maybe you want to share some experience that you may have, specific experience that relates to the Hadith that we're sharing. And tonight's Hadith, I want to share a Hadith about wudu, or in perhaps referred to as ablution. Wudu being one of the wajib acts as an introduction to wajib ibadat, but as one of the conditions for certain obligatory acts, it becomes obligatory. And yet there's so much reference about the significance of wudu. I want to share one of those hadith, especially as it is getting colder. The weather is getting colder, and the hadith relates to that. So the hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, he says, "Man asbagha al-wudu في البرد الشديد كان له من الأجر كفلان ومن أسبغ الوضوء في الحر الشديد كان له أجر كفل." Who is not just to perform it, but to do it properly. And I'll explain, or perhaps I want to hear from you your perspective on what is proper wudu. So he says, whoever performs their wudu well, in very cold or extreme cold weather, they would have twice of a great reward. Okay, it's a great reward, but twice of it, twice as much. And when it comes to performing it in extreme heat, they would have a great reward. But the first one is twice as much. So before I share a little bit of perhaps my understanding, or shed some light on some of the points in this hadith, I want to hear from you perhaps what you make of this hadith, what maybe you may have some comments or even an experience with it. Please feel free to share. Anyone? If I don't hear comments, I'm gonna start calling your names.
What is the word for proper?
Asbagha, yeah. In one of the lines in Dua Kumail, towards the end of the dua, one of the things we call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with is Ya Sabighan Ni'am. Okay, Sabigh. Asbagh is from the same source, from the same root. And so in terms of the meaning of Ya Sabighan Ni'am, the one who, when he gives a ni'mah, in Farsi we say Sangetamum. He does it like proper. He does not miss anything. Basically, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us something, look at yourselves, our own physical body, our own eyes, for example. Every aspect of it, when we analyze it and study it, every aspect of it is a cause for pondering and being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Ya Sabighan Na'am. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Sabighan Na'am. We should, from our perspective, when we do something for the sake of God, we should do it properly. So here the hadith says, Man asbagha al-wudu. Okay, so this term is a significant term, although I have said it to mu'mineen and mu'minat many times. When it comes to translations, basically I opened this hadith in an app that gives the translation, and sadly enough, the translation completely misses the term asbagha. It says, he who performs the ablution in freezing cold weather is given twice the reward. Okay, so where's asbagha? There's no asbagha in this translation. Unfortunately, I have seen many missing concepts in translations, or even complete misunderstanding in dua translation, hadith translation. Alhamdulillah, Quran translations are relatively better. You know, we have several generations of them, so the recent ones are much better, but there's room for improvement for sure. But yeah.
Obviously, Rasulullah wouldn't say something that very obvious. He would say something that meaning.
Yes.
Here, the meaning of the Imam understanding it reflects both the proper procedure of the wudu, also proper spiritual.
Ahsant.
So when you're cold, obviously you're not thinking spiritually.
You just want to get it over.
You can think about that when you're
Ahsant. So, very good point that when it's cold, you may be focused on just getting it done. Okay. Now, the wudu, I mean, back in the day, they did not have the convenience of hot water in their taps. So wudu in the cold day was a challenge. And I encourage mu'mineen and mu'minat to keep it natural. Okay, when it's cold, don't wait for the hot water to get in your, to make your wudu. Just turn on the cold water and do your wudu. The rewards are double. It's simple. If you wait for it, it's going to be perhaps less of a reward. أفضل الأعمال أحمزها. The most rewarding actions are the difficult ones. The more difficulty, the more reward. That is one aspect. So to your point, when it's cold and you're making the wudu, perhaps many of us just want to get it done. So slow down and do it proper in the physical sense, so you're not missing any parts of your wudu and you're doing it right. But perhaps together with it is the spiritual sense, especially because the next line also mentions وَمَنْ أَسْبَغَ الْوُضُوءَ فِي الْحَرِّ الشَّدِيدِ. In extreme heat, you want water, yes? When it's hot weather, you want water. You enjoy washing. So there he also says, and whoever performs their wudu properly, does a good wudu in extreme heat, will get the reward, a reward. That not the double, but they will get the reward. Now here Asma perhaps is clarifying that it is also the spiritual side. So when we are making the wudu, to make sure that our mind and heart is there. It's not just a physical action. Obviously, the least amount of the mental presence is to have the niyyah. Yeah, without the niyyah, without the intention, we don't have wudu. So the least is to have the intention of wudu. But if we want to do it properly, then it would be more of a spiritual journey, and I would encourage mu'mineen and mu'minat to accompany their wudu with the lines of dua for wudu. The more we focus on the dua, which is specific dua for wudu, the better the wudu will end up being. Because and again, dua with meaning, not just, if you don't understand the Arabic, people ask me, if you don't understand the Arabic, should I read the Arabic when I don't understand it? No. Because the purpose of that dua is to be speaking to God. So if I don't understand, I'm not really speaking to God. I'm just making some sounds. So if you don't understand the Arabic, read the English, Farsi, Urdu, whatever language you're familiar with, read that translation of the dua, because that is very important. The dua of wudu actually helps us recognize the journey that wudu is. Wudu is a journey in itself, spiritual journey. Dua of it helps us with it, and every part of it has to do with the presence in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the day of judgment, and being in the court of God, and having the ability to speak. Allahumma laqini hujjati yawma alqaak. Give me the ability to answer, to have answers and proofs on the day of judgment. That happens naturally as we live here. Not that we don't deserve it and all of a sudden we end up getting it there. So dua of wudu will help us perform the proper wudu. Asbagha al-wudu, perhaps part of it is to accompany your wudu with the dua, the supplication prescribed for the wudu. Any other comments or perhaps experiences? I'll just share this and I'll finish inshallah. My grandfather, when I was visiting him, he was one of the mujtahideen. He was in Mashhad at the time. When I visited him, he said to me, "You guys are young. Your wudu and in Mashhad gets cold, and in winter we would make wudu outside in the little hose, the pond." He said to me, "You guys are young. When I was your age, I would make ghusl in this water. I would break the ice and make ghusl in it." The same water, he said, "I would break the ice and make ghusl in it." And you guys are struggling with the wudu in this water. So perhaps the more difficulty, the more reward. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.